Hi Libra, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your April 2026 tarot reading. Thanks to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as all we have in front of us, it's a 12 card spread, with each of those cards representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Libra is the first house, all the way through to Virgo, representing the 12th house. Once we get the roll, that will pull an oracle card as well for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Tarot of the New Vision, and for the Oracle deck, we'll be using the Wisdom Oracle. But we're actually going to start the reading off our roll nose astrology as we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have Gemini. So for you guys, Gemini is actually your ninth house, and ninth house in general points to philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs. As far as energy coming into Gemini in the month of April, really around the same time, we're going to have Venus moving into Gemini on the 24th of April, and then we'll actually have Uranus moving into Gemini on the 25th of April. So pretty significant shifts there, so you could feel that for sure. All right, we have 5, so 5th house energy for you guys is Aquarius. And as far as what's going on there astrologically, of course, we have Pluto there. Pluto will be there for quite some time. It'll technically go retrograde on the 6th of May, so it'll already start slowing down as we move through April. But in general, 5th house points to romance, creativity, and children. And we have Mars. So Mars is currently in Pisces, and when we get to the 9th of April, it's actually going to move into Aries. So it'll be going from your 6th house of work, health, and daily routine into your 7th house of partnerships, contracts, and relationships. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. For the first house, which points to personality, self-awareness, appearance, we have the 4 of Wands. So this is Aries energy here. And of course, it makes sense to see that there could be some focus here because, of course, you guys, that's your opposite sign, but there's going to be plenty of energy moving through there, right? We have the sun there currently. There's going to be a new moon in Aries on the 17th. We have Neptune there. We have Saturn there. Eventually, Mercury's going to move in there on the 14th. I mentioned Mars as well, so yeah, there's plenty of energy going through that house. So that could definitely just be affecting you to where you do have more of a focus on those matters. But yeah, this could just be saying that you do have partnership on the center of your mind this month. So of course, people tend to think partnership in a romantic sense, but it could be that, of course. But for some of you, this could be business partnerships as well. Maybe even just tightening up friendships, you name it. But it looks like there will be some success there regardless. All right, so for the second house of possession, self-worth, and finances, we have Temperance. So this is a Sagittarius energy here. And to see this here, it looks like a good indicator that you will be able to strike a nice balance around that area of life. So let's say if this is around finances, right, there could be something you'll be working on that'll have, on the one hand, it'll have one foot planted in reality, right? We see the 1 foot on the earth there. So to me, that would point to the stability. And then the 1 foot in the water would point to having an emotional connection to what you do as well. So striking that balance is going to be key for you this month. For the third house of communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Devil. So this is an interesting energy to see here. This is actually Capricorn energy. And to see this come up here could just be saying that when it comes to communication, maybe you're realizing that there might have been some things that you could have learned in your early upbringing that still impact you today when it comes to communication, ways you view interactions with people. And maybe you're starting to wonder if those are actually benefiting you in the current moment, or are they just holding you back more than anything, right? So it could just be some things that you're looking at when it comes to that. And on a more lighter note, this could just be saying that you might be having some passionate conversations with others this month too. All right, so for the fourth house energy, which points to home roots and family, we have Death. So this is Scorpio energy here, and yeah, I do have to say, seeing this in conjunction with that third house energy we were just speaking about, this can definitely point to maybe there are some beliefs that you might have held from your early upbringing that now you're challenging them just because what you're seeing in your reality might not seem to line up with those beliefs from your upbringing. So you could be questioning them a little bit more now. And if nothing else, given that this is a Scorpio energy here, this could just be saying that even if you don't feel that energy necessarily early in the month, when we approach that full moon in Scorpio, which will be on the 1st of May, you might start to feel that energy coming up to the surface a little more. All right, so for your 5th house, which points to romance, creativity, and children, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So this is a Capricorn energy here as well, right? So yeah, so this could definitely be, again, like I said, maybe some things that have held you back in some way, right? So given that the 5th house energy is supposed to be about creativity, romance, right? And this is a much more, well, I guess on the positive side, we could say stable, right? But it's a more restrictive energy, I would say, where 5th house energy, you'd want to be more free flowing, ideally, right? So maybe you're looking at that, right? Where maybe things that you might have believed might have stifled your own creativity, right? Stifled your own romantic lives in some way because you might have brought this very firm, structured way of looking at those things where there should have been a bit more of a light, playful energy that could have been incorporated when it comes to those things as well. So I feel like you could be looking at that. Now it doesn't feel like it's been all bad necessarily, but now I feel like you're maybe trying to strike a balance between those two, right? To hold on to some of those principles, but also let in a little bit more of a lighter energy as well. All right, so for the 6th house energy, which points to health, work, and daily routines, we have the 9 of Swords. So yeah, I mean, on a more simple, basic level, we could view this as maybe saying that there's possibly stress that's actually leading to some physical effects. So, those 9 swords there, and if we look at the artwork, right, it looks like someone maybe having nightmares, things along those lines there. It'll just be saying that maybe there's a certain level of stress that you guys have right now that's actually potentially going to manifest itself in more physical ways. So that's definitely something you want to watch out for. Easier said than done, right? I understand that part, but I mean, there's some reasons why it could have been taking place. I mean, you guys have the South Node in your 12th house. We were in eclipse season recently as well, so that certainly didn't help matters. But yeah, it could just be some of those residual things too, and I feel like this is saying, well, and then not to mention, I mean, given that your 6th house is Pisces too, there were a lot of heavier energies in there not too long ago, right? Especially Saturn and even Neptune, which could lead to confusion around that area of life. And even as those are moving away, they're still in a very early degree. So for some of you, they might still technically be in your 6th house. So that could be part of what's at play here too. And then with all the other energies, the more short-term transitory things moving through there as well, could have been activating all that stuff. So that could be why you might have been feeling a little bit overwhelmed there. All right. So for the 7th house, which points to partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the moon. So usually when I see the moon and the spread, I tend to think of the major lunar cycles that'll be taking place throughout that month. And of course, the big one is for you guys, especially anyway, the full moon in your sign right on the 1st of April. So that's one thing. Then we'll have the new moon in your opposite sign on the 17th. And then I briefly mentioned the full moon in Scorpio, which would be your 2nd house as well on the 1st of May. So definitely look out for those particular times in general for more intense energies and maybe some revelations as well. But generally speaking, when you have the moon card, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that there's deception at play, right? Just that you have to feel your way around things a little bit more, right? Whereas with the sun, everything's out in the open. With the moon, right, you might have to dig a little bit deeper just to get to the bottom of something. So just something to look at there, especially if you are going to consider entering into any contracts this month. All right, so for the 8th house, which points to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments, we have the King of Pentacles. So I do have to say, given the areas of life that we just mentioned that could be related to, this looks like a positive energy to have here. But yeah, this could point to slow and steady growth that you guys have been experiencing when it comes to those areas of life. And given that this is a Taurus energy as well, Could just be saying that the more energy that starts to move into Taurus as we get later into April, that's going to actually activate this energy a little bit more for you as well. But yeah, so to me, I feel like this is saying primarily you've been smart when it comes to that area of life, and now you're actually starting to see the results of that pan out. All right, and for the ninth house energy, which we saw with the dice as well, we have the Knight of Chalices or Knight of Cups. So this is actually a Piscean energy here. So yeah, so this could just be saying that maybe you are taking a bit more of a lighthearted approach to your general philosophies, right? Maybe interacting with cultures that you hadn't interacted with as much in the past too, right? Taking more of a exploratory, curious energy toward those things. And I feel like this is saying you're actually learning in the process of doing so as well. This could also just be saying that maybe if you had very strict rules around how certain things should be handled, I feel like you're lightening up a little bit on those as well. So just like a super generic way, right? If you had like very strict gender norms enforced on you from an earlier upbringing, maybe you're loosening up on those things now. Just one of many ways it could be playing out. All right, so for the 10th house of career and social status, we have the Lovers. So this is Gemini energy here. And to see this come up in your career house, I feel like this is pointing to possibly a couple different things. I feel like on the one hand, this could just be saying that finding that balance that we spoke about, right, when we were talking about the Temperance card with the second house energy. But I feel like this is also saying that there's going to be some growth in that area of life for you guys. Given that this is a very communicative energy, right? When we think of Gemini energy in general, I feel like this is saying that through communication, you could get some growth as well in that area of life. And there's going to be a bit of a purity to the situation as well. And then also, you might feel like things are being worked out behind the scenes, right? So, for example, if you'd been looking for a partnership around your career in some way, this could just be saying that maybe one will be brought to you this month. Or maybe it'll become more clear to you who you could partner up with in an environment you might have already been in. All right. In the 11th house of friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Chariot. So this is Cancerian energy here, which is your natural 10th house. But more than anything, I feel like this is another indicator saying that you are going to start to see more connections come around your day-to-day circles that actually are going to be beneficial to you. And I feel like they're saying that you wouldn't necessarily have to seek them out very much. I feel like a lot of them will be coming to you, or at the very least, you'll feel such a strong pull to them that even if you are the one who's more so the initiator there, it's going to feel like it's more of a fated thing than anything. All right. And for the 12th house energy, we have the Four of Chalices or Four of Cups. So this is Cancerian energy here. And in general, 12th house points to spirituality, blind spots, and mental health. So seeing this here, I feel like this is saying you have probably been processing some disappointment, right? Now, you might not have been coming out about that disappointment outright to other people, right? You might have been keeping it mostly to yourself. I feel like at the very least, this is something you haven't taken some time to process the disappointment around. And maybe it's on the one level, the disappointment with the situation as a whole, but then also feeling a secondary level of disappointment in yourself for believing that things would go the way that you thought they would in the beginning, right? So I wouldn't go as far to say it was like a reality check type of situation, but just one of those things where like, okay, you know, yeah, in hindsight, I should have known better, right? I feel like that's how you would look at the situation in the present, looking back on a past situation. But at the same time, I feel like this is saying, you know, I feel like the reality might be a little bit better than you think on the surface, right? So maybe not to say that past situation wasn't exactly as bad as you might have thought it was, and when you think about it now, but maybe more so that, okay, even if you did go through that and it truly was as disappointing as you thought, it could have just been one of those things that were like a test, a karmic test, and now you'll get the thing that you were looking for, but in reality this time as opposed to the false version of it, you know? All right, and bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Swords. So, yeah, this could be an indicator that you might be having some epiphany energy coming your way. Now, for some of you, that could be as early as that full moon that we're going to have in your sign on the 1st of April, but I mean, there's going to be some other significant shifts that could be pointing to that as well. Well, for one, we have a Mercury retrograde just wrapped up, so it's still in its post shadow period, but as it progresses later into April, you'll get a little bit more momentum there. So that's one thing. Another thing is we'll have Uranus moving out of your 8th house into your 9th house. So that'll be on the 25th when it moves from Taurus to Gemini. So that could be another thing that could actually help you feel a little bit more open to epiphanies. But yeah, there's a few other things I could point to as well. But in general, I feel like this is saying that something might come to you out of the blue that I feel like in hindsight, you'd be like, oh yeah, I should have known better. But it'll still be for your benefit overall, which is good. All right, so next we'll pull an oracle card. So like I said, we're going to pull a card from the Wisdom Oracle deck here. I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right, take this card here, get this out of the way, and we'll see what you got. Okay, we have milk and honey. There's the artwork, and the number is 51. So yeah, funny, this aligns with what I was feeling, where like I said, things might be better than they seem in the present moment, right? Like I said, even if you had something that you thought was an ideal situation and it turned out to not be, like this is saying, that doesn't mean that you'll never get that, right? But now that you'll maybe have more discernment, which is the positive side of that, and also having passed the test and breaking out of that cycle, now you're more open to the genuine thing. But we'll see what it says. All right, essential meanings says the taste of prosperity, opportunities born of authenticity, nurturing abundance, trusting that your needs will be met. The oracle's message: you've entered a sweet time in your life, enjoying the land of milk and honey that everyone wants to experience. It's an interlude that feels more languid than ambitious when all your senses are awake to the unlimited possibilities in the universe. These times are precious and only come when you're in your authentic zone, wearing the world as a loose garment, not wanting, yet able to be nourished in ways both tangible and subtle. Abundance is an energy that you are a living part of. All your needs are being met. You are given the gift of nourishment in every form. So yeah, definitely a positive message there, especially when it comes to seeing that stressful energy that you guys have in your 6th house, right? And I mean, to be fair, the devil could be causing stress as well, the energies we talked about there. But then seeing the temperance, seeing the lovers, right? It looks like there are some more positive energies at play too. So you might just need to get out on the other side of that to see it. All right, the relationship message says sensuality, connection, and passionate romance between lovers, sweet moments of understanding, and love among friends and family are all here for you to savor now. Your heart's calling will be answered. Let your thoughts and feelings be sweet with gratitude, and you'll be nourished with the honey of abundance. So yeah, definitely a positive message there as well, and that would align more so, I feel like, with the Four of Wands energy that we see in the 1st house. And technically we say it lovers too, but again, like we said, it seems to be pointing more in the career house, but social status could also be related to romance in a looser way too, so there's that. All right, and the prosperity message says there is only one authentic you. This version of yourself is spirit's emissary in the world. When you're in alignment with the truth that you are a unique expression of the divine, your ego can rest and your soul can illuminate your purpose. Now is the time when you're seeking your true north. When you find this direction, you automatically step into prosperity, and the world brings you evidence of abundance. Miracles are a choice and a way of seeing the world. With every choice you make right now, you have the potential to seize good fortune and embrace your destiny. Opportunities will lead you to your best life now. Be open to them. You're getting a sweet taste of what you want. So yeah, that's an interesting message there when it talked about miracles are a choice and a way of seeing the world, because I think I had mentioned when we were talking about the devil energy, right, and the Queen of Pentacles, where maybe there were some beliefs that you had from early upbringing that might have actually stifled you when it came to your creativity and thinking of the possibilities of what could be, right? And now you've been trying to find that balance. So yeah, it looks like this is an indicator that you'll start to see a little bit more success when it comes to that as well. So hopefully that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.